All right. Welcome. We are here to talk about the untold story of the successes of the Trump administration in healthcare and enabled by Congress's success in getting rid of one of the most egregious and unconstitutional parts of Obamacare, the individual mandate. Hooray. So the three cabinet secretaries that we have here today are responsible for these successes and the economic boom, I think, that has been perpetuated by the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, but also by the many changes that they've been able to make through the regulatory structure to create this vibrant economy and to deregulate the health sector and your whole departments in such a significant way. And I would like to start with Secretary Azar talking about maybe a specific idea with one of the healthcare choices that you've been able to provide the American people, this short-term limited duration plans, the bridge plans.
Yeah, well, actually, President Trump has been bringing personalized healthcare that is patient-centered, that really puts you in control of your healthcare and lets you be treated like a human being and not like a number. And that's about bringing choice to you. So for instance, as Grace Marie mentioned, he got rid of this individual mandate tax. 90% of the people paying this tax were tax-paying Americans who make less than $75,000 a year. That's millions of Americans paying billions of taxes to buy insurance they did not want and could not afford. And what we're trying to do is offer affordable options in addition to what the Obamacare plans have for people. So one of them, as Grace Marie mentioned, is called short-term limited duration plans. So these, especially for the folks who are recent college grads here in the audience, these are plans that may help you as you move off your parents' plan before you get a plan through your work. And these can be plans that may be 50, 60, 70% cheaper than an Obamacare plan. Now, they don't necessarily have all of the coverage that Obamacare plans would have in them, but it's an option. It puts you in the driver's seat. You make the choice, and these plans can last up to a year and be renewable for up to 3 years. We've also created what are called HRAs, health reimbursement accounts, through Obamacare exchanges. So what that says is your employer now can take money and actually create an account that you get this money, and you can go and buy the insurance that meets your needs. We think up to 10 million Americans could get insurance through that approach. And then we're giving greater flexibility to states, unprecedented flexibility to states to redesign the mess that is Obamacare in their own image to meet the needs of their citizens.
So correct. And Secretary Acosta, yes. Secretary Acosta, there's one provision that Republicans have been talking about forever, conservatives talking about the importance of giving people the choices to buy outside their workplace or other than individual plans. Talk to us a little bit about association health plans.
That's right. These are called association health plans. And let me just say, I was with the president when he announced this at the National Federation of Independent Businesses, and the applause was deafening. They've been asking for this for years and years and years, and it finally happened. So here's what these are. As conservatives, we believe in the market. We believe the market works. But all these small businesses across the country really can't negotiate for health care. If you've got 5 employees, 10 employees, you can't go out and negotiate. You just get a price given to you. And that price is incredibly high. And so small businesses a lot of times can't offer health care to their employees. And that's where association health plans come in. Let me give you an example. Yesterday, the president of the Las Vegas Metro Chamber of Commerce was in my office. And she wanted to stop by to say thank you because they started an association health plan. These have only been in effect a few months. And right away, almost 500 small businesses joined. And here's the magic of these. Instead of 500 small businesses of 5 employees or 10 employees going to an insurer and saying, we'll pay whatever price you demand, you now have thousands and thousands of lives a large risk pool that can put it out for bid. And here's the result that they got. They got lower premiums, they got a 2-year lock, and these were all high-quality plans. So across the nation, in a few short months, we've had 30 different association health plans starting up, everything from chambers of commerce to national organizations. It's called, let's create economies of scale so that businesses can better negotiate for healthcare and drive down the price. Because as conservatives say, markets.
That's so true. And a recent independent analysis showed that these plans are absolutely complementary to the plans that large companies are offering and the pre-existing conditions that come along with them. So they are very important.
That's right. A quick point to make. When we proposed this, the Washington Post came out with a story talking about how horrible an idea it was. And about 3 weeks ago, I saw a headline that really caught me. The Washington Post saying, experts said this wouldn't work. And they pointed out that these are quality plans, so it worked.
Write the article too in the Washington Post. So Administrator McMahon, I know you talk to small business owners all the time. I wonder if you can tell us a little bit about what they're saying about the kinds of options this administration is offering to give them more choices of more affordable health coverage.
Small businesses are delighted with this plan. As I've traveled around the country and listened to them, most of our small business owners want to provide health care for their employees. Many times in years past, they've covered the full cost of health care, and then premiums became so costly. Co-pays increased, doubled, tripled, and finally small businesses had to get rid of their plans totally because they couldn't afford it. They're delighted with this opportunity. And I think one of the things we need to look at with this, and I want to thank Secretary Acosta because it was his rulemaking and he really got this back out there with association plans. But small businesses now are really able to purchase, for the first time ever, a sole proprietor can buy into this same pool and get the same benefits that big businesses offer to their employees. And for small businesses, this is really terrific because we do have such a robust, healthy economy, with unemployment staying right at 4% or slightly under, 7.3 million jobs available and not enough people for those jobs. So small businesses are competing in the same marketplace as big businesses are for these employees and for talent. So having the opportunity to provide this benefit does give small businesses now a bit of an edge that they didn't have to recruit and retain employees. And so the businesses are delighted that the free market system is offering them an opportunity for choice and for reduced cost.
And I think that is really the theme of what the Trump administration's agenda is. And there are so many other options. I know that we see back here health sharing. That's another option, million people involved in health sharing. We have 2 million people that are estimated to participate in the short-term limited duration plans. And the Council of Economic Advisors issued a report a couple of weeks ago showing that the benefit of choices to consumers is $450 billion over 10 years. So rather than a large effort to sort of come down on this, and maybe Secretary Azar, I could ask you a little bit about the threat out there for Medicare for All and what that's going to mean to really collapse this choice economy.
Well, the threat is an immediate and complete government takeover of healthcare. And when the same folks promised Obamacare or brought Obamacare to you, they promised you that you could keep your insurance if you liked it. This time they're not even promising that. This time they're at least being explicit and saying that the 170 million Americans who get their insurance through their employers, who love their insurance, will have it taken away and you will be put on a one-size-fits-all government insurance plan. They're at least being transparent this time about what they're about. That also, it's going to violate the commitment that we have made to our seniors in the Medicare program. Because when you put all of these other Americans into the Medicare program, you're going to have the best doctors and the best hospitals are going to jump out of that program because they'll be paid under market rates, and it'll be just like Europe and other socialist systems where you'd have to create a two-tier system of health care, and to get quality care, you'll end up going outside the system if you've got the money to do so. So it violates our commitment to our seniors. It takes away your private employer health insurance. It's an immediate government takeover of health care. And we don't need this. We do not need this in our system. This is not the problem that needs to be solved in healthcare in America today.
And the $32 trillion in estimated additional taxpayer cost to produce this job-killing, and it really would significantly deter quality and innovation. And then I guess, and imagine the regulations that would be required to tell every doctor how they could practice, how much they're going to be paid. And I know Secretary Acosta that the deregulatory agenda has been very high on your agenda. We actually have the top two deregulatory cabinet secretaries here in the country. Secretary Azar. And overall, there have been 12 regulations excised for every new one that's been. I don't think that, actually, Secretary Acosta, I don't think there's been a single major proposed new regulation.
It's all been deregulatory.
That's right. So talk to us a little bit about that, because that's part of the prosperity and the economy, to free up businesses to be able to.
It really is. You know, last year alone, the Department of Labor took $3.2 billion in regulations off the books. And I use that figure often, but here's the figure I really like to talk about. There are now 40 million paperwork and compliance hours less of regulations on the books.
Yay!
What does it mean to have 40 million fewer paperwork hours? Because businesses do not thrive by filling out paperwork and filing it with the federal government. They thrive by getting out there and manufacturing things and building things and hiring folks, not to comply with regulations, but hiring folks to grow a business. And so we'll stand up here and we'll talk about the billions and billions of deregulatory dollars. But I think we should think about this in terms of hours saved in the economy, and 40 million fewer paperwork hours. And that's just 1 year. And this year, you're going to see an even deeper deregulatory effort, certainly at the Department of Labor and at just about every other federal agency.
And Administrator McMahon, I know that you see, again, this head-on and talking with small businesses, the engine of our economy and our prosperity, that when they have fewer regulations and they can know that they can do what they want to do without the federal government telling them what to do and how to do it, that creates energy and it creates these new jobs that have been such a huge success. 5.4 million since the Trump administration began.
Yes, and it's, you know, it's really interesting because if you think about small businesses, you know, they don't normally have either the time or the money to have, you know, a compliant staff on board. So often the CEO can be the janitor and the receptionist and everything in between. I can attest to that. And so it is very difficult to comply with these regulations. And one stat that always floored me was that for small businesses, compliance costs per employee are about $11,700 per year, more than what the same regulatory costs are for big businesses. So getting rid of more and more regulations, and let me just give you a really quick example. You know, we need regulations of the right kind, for sure. But I was visiting a small business and I asked, you know, how is the regulatory environment? He said, well, let me tell you a story that one of the regulators come in and they didn't find anything wrong. I thought I was gonna have a clean slate, and finally he says, oh, got a problem. The signs on your restrooms aren't regulation size. And fined him $5,000. Now, that's a lot of money for a small business. It comes right out of the bottom line. So those kind of regulations we don't need. The kind of regulations, you know, we need to monitor and keep in place for the health and safety and welfare of the employees and for their businesses and for the country.
Secretary Azar, your department released a new proposed rule within the last couple of weeks that would really pull the curtain back on a lot of the regulations that pertain to and the sort of behind-the-scenes deals in the pharmaceutical industry. And I wonder if you could talk a little bit about this rebate rule, because I know the president says every time he talks to you, he asks you, what are you doing to get prescription drug prices down? So what are you doing today?
I think my colleagues can vouch for the fact that he has never spoken to me without asking, what are we doing to get drug prices down in America? He is adamant about this. And one of the key things that we can do is get rid of the kickbacks that are currently being paid by drug companies to middlemen. You know, what happens now is you go into the pharmacy to buy a drug that costs $300. You may spend $300 to buy that drug, or you may be asked to pay a % of that $300 when you go into the pharmacy. What President Trump discovered is that behind the scenes, that drug company is giving on average a $100 kickback to the middleman to get you to use that drug, but you're not getting the benefit of that $100 when you're in the pharmacy. So what we've proposed for our senior citizens is that we would actually take away the protection for those kickbacks being paid from the drug companies to the middlemen, and instead require that those monies go right to you when you're at the pharmacy. And that's $29 billion a year just in our Medicare program alone that seniors would get the benefit of at the pharmacy starting January 1, 2020.
Absolutely, and I know that that's one of only 30 major proposals in your American Patients First proposal that the president released in the Rose Garden about maybe what, 6 or 7 months ago.
In May, yeah.
And you are going full bore to really provide a lot of other choices for people.
Well, you know, it's delivering results. For the first time in almost 50 years under President Trump's leadership, the measure of inflation for pharmaceutical prices in the United States came down. First time in almost 50 years.
So I think it shows just the successes in 2 years. When an administration believes in the American people and believes that if we just unleash their power, that we will be able to create jobs and be able to get people more choices in healthcare, get prices down, rather than thinking that Washington has to do all of this. And so I guess my question is, what's next? You know, what are some of the things that you see on the horizon that could happen in the next couple of years that you want to happen to be able to really continue this record, which is a dramatic achievement in just 2 years?
Let me take one idea and present it, because this is something that the president announced and that he asks me about all the time as well, and that's called association retirement plans. And it's kind of like association health plans, but for retirement. See, so many Americans across the nation don't have retirement accounts and 401ks because their small businesses out there don't have the time to set them up. What small business owner is going to file a Form 5500 and take on the fiduciary obligations and do everything else that's necessary to set up the 401ks that people have in the big corporations? And so the concept of association retirement plans is, what if the Las Vegas Metro Chamber can tell all its members, come to us, we'll be one big pool for health care, and we'll negotiate as a big group for health care, and at the same time, you can offer your employees retirement benefits through our 401k. And this is transformative. Only 14% of small businesses now have retirement options. But if you have that retirement option available through a chamber or an association, all these employees, all these Americans, men and women across the nation, will have access. And one final point, you know, if you've got a big retirement account, on average, you pay 1.25% less in fees per year than a small account. Imagine making an extra 1.25% return on your 401ks every year of your life, year after year. That makes a big difference when people go to retire. And so for all these businesses, along with association health plans, association retirement plans.
Time value of money.
That's
indeed.
right.
Secretary Azar, I know there's another proposed rule that's percolating through the system for health reimbursement arrangements. I think you talked a little bit about the same kind of thing, where you can give employers control over the money for an employer that may not have the resources to provide a health plan, but could provide a stipend for people to be able to purchase their own coverage.
Absolutely. So what we've done, and actually Secretary Acosta, Secretary Mnuchin, and I put this proposed rule out, and what it would do for the first time ever is allow an employer to give you money in a health reimbursement account. So this is an account that then, this is money that you can use. And instead of getting one-size-fits-all insurance from your employer, whatever plan they happen to pick, you could actually take that money and go into the marketplace and buy the insurance that meets your needs. And that could actually even be money that is subsidized through the program that we have. So you take that money, you choose the plan that meets your needs. Maybe you want lower cost insurance that only has a certain hospital system in your area. You could choose that one. You don't have to choose one that has every single hospital system in the area with every benefit package that you want. You could do something that's more tailored, that's one of the exchange-based plans for you. So again, puts you in control of making your health care choices.
And you've done a lot also with the Section 1332. This is the provision of Obamacare, maybe one of the only things that is even marginally good about this law, that would give states more control and authority. And one of the things they've done is use some of the existing resources in Obamacare to separately subsidize people who have a lot of high health care costs. And what they've done is be able to, of course, lower premiums and bring more people back into the market. So that's another huge success that's really built on the federalist philosophy of our government.
I mean, absolutely. The president is deeply committed. He's always been committed to ensuring that people who have pre-existing conditions or people who lose the healthcare lottery, that they're taken care of. And that's part of the flexibilities we're giving states through these waivers that Grace Marie just mentioned. They're called reinsurance waivers, where we allow a state to basically peel off those individuals who impose the greatest cost to the system because they have a major pre-existing condition or a really bad health condition. They get the care they need, but we don't force the other people, the tax-paying Americans who are in the individual market, to have to bear all the burden of paying that cost. Instead, we do that through these waivers and spread that around more people, so those folks get the care they need, but we reduce the cost for the other people in the Obamacare markets. 9% to 30% reduction in premiums for people in these exchanges as a result of this flexibility to states.
And people are desperate for this. We did a program with State Senator Bryce Reeves of Virginia, talked with us about a constituent who said, he's reading the email from him, he said his health premiums under Obamacare were $4,000 a month. He said, this is more than my mortgage. What am I supposed to do? And what you're all doing here is giving him more options through association health plans, through short-term limited duration plans, through the health reimbursement arrangements, through health retirement arrangements, and through the kinds of things that you're doing and really helping small businesses to see these opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely.
Available.
Absolutely. Small businesses can be now more competitive again, for the talent pool. They're going to bring down their costs, going to be able to offer health care and retirement plans, hopefully. They're just kind of coming on board to learn about that a little bit. Anything they can do to provide benefits at a cost savings to help them be more competitive is certainly something that is a good thing for small businesses.
And as we wrap up this theme of choice and giving people more options, I know Secretary Acosta that you talked with Secretary DeVos recently, who is not here, I think, today, but she has some news that she wanted to share with the group.
That's right. So I was speaking with Secretary DeVos today right after lunchtime, and she had just come out from an event that she did at the Department of Education. And she had done this event with students from across the nation that have benefited from school choice. And she did it because she just announced, and she has an opinion editorial today in USA Today, she just announced a proposal whereby individuals that contribute to organizations that provide scholarships to children can get a dollar-for-dollar tax credit for those contributions. And I wanted the CPAC audience to know about this. And when I told her I was going to be here, she wanted all of you to know about this. Because this is designed to give children across the nation greater ability to exercise choice and their parents and go to the schools of their choice. And so this is so related to everything we've talked about. What are association health plans about? More freedom, more access, more choice. What is Secretary DeVos's proposal about? More freedom, more access, more choice. You know, President Trump's approach is trust in the American people. Empower the American people to make decisions for themselves. Folks want a good job. Well, they've got that. As Administrator McMahon mentioned, 5.3 million new jobs since November 2016. They're higher paying jobs. We've seen an increase, we haven't seen this increase in wages in more than a decade. Incredibly low unemployment, record low unemployment. More open jobs than individuals looking for jobs. And so the next stage is take all those Americans that are working across this nation and trust them to choose their healthcare choices for themselves, to choose their educational choices and make it affordable for themselves. And that's really how we're going to make America and this country great. More freedom, more access, and more choice.
And one of the things, absolutely, one of the things that I know you all know because you've worked in the private sector is that once you give individuals more choices, as you all are doing, the market responds with more choices. Once you provide school choice, once you begin to offer more choices in healthcare, then the market responds with more choices. How can I meet the need of consumers? We're starting to see new insurers coming back into the market because of the healthcare choices you're making, the healthcare options you're making, Secretary Azar, and we're starting to see, hopefully we'll see new schools and teachers saying we want to be freer to teach the way we know students need to learn by giving them more educational choices. So that's really a wonderful thing, and I think that we need to make sure that small businesses are, as the engine of the economy, really see the incredible choices this administration is offering.
Absolutely.
That's great. Well, thank you all very much. It's really a pleasure to talk with you. And thank you. Hope the audience will join me in thanking them not just for speaking today, but in the incredible work they're doing in fighting what really are difficult bureaucratic forces to not only propose these regulations, but do it according to the rule of law, not just making it up as some previous administrations have done. These are legal, by the book, and yet transformative. So thank you very much, and join me in thanking our panel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.